All right, so we had a little mishap with cattle, as in they got out the other day, which they have not done for a long time. And I was here, but I didn't see it happen. See, they're all looking at me now. They know I'm talking about them. And cousin happened to be here messing with his combine, and he saw him running, so he ran after him. They turned around and ran back in, and then I finally got his message because I had forgotten my phone. But every time I looked out, the cows were where they were supposed to be. So I did some checking last night. It was almost dark, and I determined that I needed to get a new fence controller. So we'll talk about that more right after this. All right, welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Ross the Oliver Man. Some people probably don't really understand the concept of electric fence. And basically, its purpose is kind of a psychological barrier for these animals. They can sense electricity, and the first time they touch it, it's unpleasant feeling, and then they don't want to go that way anymore. And they finally learn enough to where you can, even if the wire's laying on the ground, they won't jump over it. So I bought years ago, I guess I should go back in time. The fence charger was always inside a building, and Grandpa had it hung up on the rafters and ran out the back. But the problem is, he did not believe in spray or anything around buildings, so everything growed up in weeds, and it was very unpleasant. And also, I decided I didn't really want a fence charger inside a building, because if it would short out and cause a fire, it would probably burn down that building. So to somewhat compromise, I moved it out here in its own little house that I made for it, and then neglected and did not keep up the weed control maintenance type thing. But we can reclaim this now. But anyway, I wired up a separate outlet just for this. It's on its own fuse. I thought this would be a good place because the grain bin's got a fuse box, and it was easy enough to run it over here. The fence was always right back here. Problem solved. So when he called and said those cows were out, I immediately walked out and went all around where I knew they would have got out and fixed all the stuff that they would have tore up on their way through. They broke some of the plastic insulators. I don't know. I don't have one in my pocket right now. I probably have one in the truck, though. I took them out of my pocket when I went in the store because I didn't want them to accuse me of stealing them, even though they'd know that some of these were used. Yeah, here's some different styles. So if you got T-posts, you use something like this. Clips on the post, and then the wire hangs in these, goes through there like that. If you have metal round post, I've got some of those in the woods yet. Grandpa was a big believer in those, I guess because they were cheap for temporary-ish fence. But you have this kind, and you tighten this ring down on it, and the round thing's in there, and then it gets tight. The problem I got with these is if something like a deer or an animal tries to go under it, they'll pull it up off the post, and that causes you some issues. So anyway, I went through and I put all those insulators back on. They knocked loose or redid it all. Checked the whole fence. I had the fence on the whole time, and I wasn't getting nothing. I could grab a hold of that fence and feel absolutely zero, and it should not be that way. But then I could come up here and I could take a connection loose and it would spark a little bit, but you could even grab a hold of the wire right here and nothing was happening. So I decided it has to be the fence controller. So it had on it, for whatever reason, well, I'll get to that in a second, but let me grab the thing out of the truck here. This was all done in haste last night because I was on my way to go get all that stuff, which we'll talk about in a later video. But then I had to go to town to do this before the store closed. But this fence charger, back when I bought it, was the biggest one they had. 120 mile range, whatever. Had the cow upside down on fire on the box. That's what I wanted. But anyway, I put this on. It comes with this, and it is supposed to, like, if you have a lightning strike, somehow it you know, takes care of this, and then you can replace this piece and your fence controller's still fine. The new one didn't come with that, so it must not have been that important. But at any rate, the first thing I did was take this off and then try it again. Still nothing. I could still grab a hold, still it would spark. Nothing was happening. So what to do? Well, the fence controller must be bad. It's all circuitry in there now. There's nothing really that can be replaced. I figured this one is several years old, probably 5 or 6 years old or more. Probably more than that. I can't remember when I did that, but at any rate, I thought it's time to get another one, and even if that's not the problem, I would have a spare then. So in the dark last night, I hooked up the new one. In the store, the new one, the biggest one they had, was this one that does 240 miles. And so I thought, hey, I'm going with that. But that is over $400. So I don't necessarily recommend that for everyone. It's not, yeah. But it's, you know, will shock through weeds and that kind of stuff, and that's what we want. And it works with all the types of wire. So it's what we want, you know. So I hooked that up in the dark, and I have some output now, but I'm not satisfied with it, and that's what we're going to work on today. I got some other supplies because I thought I might need them, but here is a nice little handy picture to help you understand how this sucker works. But you have a ground that goes down, and you drive ground rods into the ground, and then you see what I'm saying. That helps you. You have to have that. And the more ground rods you have, the better, hotter fence you'll have, or the better job it will do, because it will be able to pull from everywhere. And then your hot wire goes to your fence, and then you can jumper them together or however. And life is grand, you see. They have it drawn this way because they have this like a little gate you could take loose, and then they ran a hot wire underground over here so that you never lose power when you disconnect your gate. I don't always do it that way. When the thing's disconnected, the power's off, whatever, doesn't matter. So in the dark, I hook up the new one, and I hear some stuff popping over there. I got that fixed, and it's working, but it's not what I think it should be. You know, I can put my hand on it, it tingles, it makes me want to kind of pull my hand away. Actually, if you leave a gap, it's worse, but it's still, I want it to be so hot that it brings you to your knees. I want this fence to be so hot that if you touch it for a second, you can see the sky open up and see all your dead relatives. I want this fence to be so hot that if a cow brushes against it, it leaves grill marks on the side. I want it to be so hot that for a second you can understand the Native American language when you have a hold of it. But at any rate, I feel like it definitely fixed my problem to the point that it's hot enough now that they don't want to go through it. Today there was one calf that made its way through it, and for some reason it's been my experience that the calves aren't as affected by it as the old cows. The old cows will not do it, go through. But you can see how hot this is right now just by this, if I can get it to jump. So, you know, it is putting out, there you go, and that, you know, what more can you ask for? Well, I thought that I had 3 ground rods, and it turns out I only did 2 for some reason. So I want to remedy that at some point here, but I might change my I might change my ways from what I had done, and I might clean this up and go that way with them. But what I want to do now is I want to put different grounding clamps on this rod, on these rods, and clean them up a little first, you know, and what have you. They make copper ones and they make galvanized ones, and I can't remember what I got. I thought I bought copper, but they are super duper expensive, as I recall. So I might have got one copper one and one not copper one. I don't know, but I'd like to get another copper one, and then I might go that way with it somewhere and whatever. But I also don't want them out in the way where I'm going to trip over them or whatever. But my stupid vine that seems to go over everything is causing me lots of issues, you see, because it takes over everything, and I don't know. So next year when we do a lot of spot spraying, we're gonna clean this all up real good, and we're gonna just hose the crap out of all this with something that will kill this vine back here and leave this earth barren for 7 years, because I'm over it. And so there you have it. But anyway, here's the new thing. Not really that spectacular. And I thought that it was supposed to have a light that flashed and said fence is okay. Yeah, there it is. You can see it. It says fence okay. It's flashing. I don't know if that shows up on camera or not. You can't really see it from out here very good, but you can, if you get down, see that light flashing. And maybe that would be good enough for most people, but it's not good enough for me. And I'm not sure, as I look at it now, I need to test what this wire was. I bought this wire whenever I put the first fence charger in this spot, and I'm not sure if it is copper-based wire or not. And if it's not, I want to change that, because you know what I'm saying. Copper does better as far as conductivity goes, or continuity. I don't know what word you want to use. So I got this roll of wire here that Granddaddy and I have been sawing out of for years. I don't even know where we acquired it, at an auction or something. And it's a solid core wire, copper wire. But if that's what I already got, then I'm not too worried about it. But what I do want to do is perhaps clean up those rods and put new ground clamps on and redo. I got enough to do whatever. And I bought a roll of wire, but I don't like it. This is like an aluminum, I think, or something. And I'm not sold on that. This is what you're supposed to use if you put it underground. And I just have never done that. And I don't know if that's really what I want. It's 12.5 gauge. It's about the same gauge as like this. But we may not even need that. But what I would like to do, definitely, is clean up those ground clamps. Maybe we can use what we got. I don't know. But I'm also tempted to just run a second set of wire and put 2 new clamps on top of it. And that way you're guaranteed to always have something. But I don't know, perhaps a little investigative stuff here will tell us, because I don't remember. It's been a long time ago since I put this up to start with. But I feel like it ought to bite me a lot more than it is. I don't know if I'll be able to tell what that is, but you can see it's hot. I just don't think that that's copper. I think that that's something else. I would get a weed eater and clean this all up, but unfortunately my weed eater has left the chat. I'm pretty sure this one's copper. So that one is definitely copper. And I know that these aren't the best because, oh, this is the crappy screwdriver too. Ouch. And so, yeah, I got a bigger jolt out of that than I did off of grabbing the fence. So figure that one out, you know. That's why I don't think it's just quite what it could be. But I need to get a better screwdriver, and I need to shut the fence off. And you know, another thing that probably is affecting my judgment of how hot that actually is the fact that I'm wearing brand new shoes that are supposed to be like resistant to electrical. I have a feeling if I would like put my bare foot on the ground and grab that, it would probably make me cry. And last time I checked, cows don't wear shoes.
Shoes on a cow? That would seem to explain everything.
So it might be fine for them.
Come on. Everybody.
But I just kind of feel like it would probably be a good idea to clean that all up, and you know what I'm saying. Make sure we got a good connection there. Because when I was fiddling with it yesterday, see, I just heard it pop there again. I got it to arc at the ground rods, and that's not what we need. We need to make sure that is, you know, tight and clean and not going to be a problem. So Phillips head screwdriver, I guess, is our first weapon of choice. I brought that wire wheel on the drill, but I might actually get some emery cloth and, you know, run it up and down. I got some more fence splices. Got some more gate handles because they always self-destruct. Fun fact, well, that donkey doesn't agree with me. He's making donkey sounds. Yellow is supposed to be a color that doesn't break down in the sun, I was told, and that's why they make them yellow. But they all break down eventually. So anyway, I noticed there was one out in the field that was not the way it should be. So we're going to do some exploratory something here and decide what we want to do. But I'm not sold on what I got going on, so I'd rather just take it loose and redo it, make sure that it's what I want. And then if I get another ground rod, I'm going to go the opposite direction and go. I was looking to see in the ground over there if Grandpa's original ground rod was still in the ground. I could just hook to it and run a wire over, but I don't see it, so I must have pulled it up. I don't remember that. That's been a long time ago, like I said. So let me get another screwdriver where we can take these loose and some emery cloth, and we're going to see what we find, and we're going to shut the fence off so it doesn't just destroy us, because that a second ago really let me have it for whatever reason. Oh, now it's going to start to rain, so we might be done here anyway. But I'll put the camera inside so it doesn't get wet for a second, and I'll get rid of this stuff off the hood, and we'll be ready to go the first chance we get here. I've actually got it with a switch so I can shut it off, but since I'm going to work right here, we'll just do it this way. Let's just start with this most obnoxious one. See, I think that's too loose. I think it probably got bumped like with the lawnmower, and so yeah, I wish I could remember what everything was. Yeah, see, this is that steel wire, I'm almost sure, and I think that maybe our corrosion did not help. So I'm going to replace it with that copper wire. I think I just ripped my pants too, so that's handy. It's just going great for me today. The trash isn't necessarily a big problem on what am I trying to say? If the wire touches this trash, that's not a big deal for the ground because it's going to the ground anyway. This shiny copper, that's what we want. I don't remember if this is made of copper or what it's made of, but oh, I've done something to the camera. It now shows a lock on the screen. Well, I don't have time to look for stuff. I think we have the wire tools in one of our vehicles, so we're just going to use what we got. We'll take a new one with us. What would be the least expensive way to unwind this wire? Well, I don't know. We've just been sawing off of it for years, hoping for the best. Clearly what I just did is not the correct way. So, son of a Knutson. Where's the other end of this wire? There it is. Yeah, there we go. Now we're getting somewhere. We were into like 2036's wire there, you know. We're not to that yet. But we're gonna start over with copper. That's what I'm getting at. See how pretty that looks. Shiny, shiny copper. And any second it's gonna start pouring rain so that I get to work on it in the rain. Awesome! And now I have to finish it because I got it took apart. Should have done this in the dark last night. At least I would have been dry. I don't really like this setup, I don't think. Maybe time will prove me wrong. But I just feel like I don't really know if that is actually doing what I want it to under this gigantic plastic nut, but all right. And you're probably saying, what a dum-dum. Why is he doing it the way he's doing it? Well, I don't really care how you want to do it. If you want to pay me to do it, then I'll do it your way. Otherwise, I'm going to do it my way. And I'm actually going to even change the way I'm doing it this time. I'm going to leave it long enough that I can give it a couple wraps around after the fact. Just because. And I'm going to have to string out my wire over to my other one first before I connect anything, or I won't have it. It won't be possible. Okay. Jeez. I don't know what these are made out of. I don't think we decided, but I'd say something cheap is probably what they're made out of. And that might be part of the problem. I should probably clamp the wire in between there and just tighten these two halves instead of going through the little eye that they left for it. I just broke this stupid thing, didn't I? Dang it. Ah. Well, son of a Knudsen. Good thing I got an extra one. This might be made of that like cast bronze or whatever. It's not very flexible. And I need to quit while I'm ahead, because otherwise I will destroy it, as we just determined. All right. Well, there's one thing changed out. Let's go to the other rod and see what we can accomplish there. We're gonna get wet, but that's okay. Get out of there, you. This one, I have a feeling, is this galvanized? I can't tell. No, it's copper. Oh. Good enough for who it's for. I think we've already done it a great service compared to what we had. So, like I said, when it's nicer weather, we'll come back here and clean all this up and try to make it not so messy. Oh, see this one, the thing is too loose on. So this one I'm going to put the wire between the clamp. I bet this was the original ground rod and I pulled it up from over there, and then, yeah, you know what I'm saying. This'll work though. This'll work. And got a little tail to wrap around there. That's tight. I feel like we ought to just go ahead and do the hot one too, whilst we're at it. We're already soaking wet, so sure. If there's one thing that works great, it's electricity and water. All right, I think we're gonna get it. Watch it now not work after we do all this. That'd be about right, wouldn't it? Yeah, that nut is not, I was hoping maybe it had a metal backer, but it doesn't. This is another example of, I'm tired of them making everything in the world idiot proof. I mean, how will we learn if we make it idiot proof? All right, let's get rid of this doodad. Oh, that's interesting. It actually broke down part of this over time. The end of that wire was not super strong anymore. So another good reason for doing this now. I really need to be feeding hay now while the rain has quit, but I also really need a fence that will stay nice. So sure. Let's do this. Look at how shiny that became. By golly, boys, I bet she'll be hot now. I'm kind of scared. I don't know if I want to touch it now. Do we still have... Oh, yeah. Let's do a comparative spark test first before I decide to get bit by it. Now that I'm soaking wet with rain, it'll probably really bite me. But she's hot. You got to hold it just right to get it to do it, but yeah, it'll jump a gap now. Sure. Well, it says it's okay, and it is working now. I feel better about what I got because copper will transmit electricity better and hopefully hold up long over time. So I'm going to call this a win. As long as this thing keeps happily popping away, I'd say we'll be set. Because we don't need to chase any more cows. But I probably still will get another ground rod and go off in a different direction just to add more. The reason why that's important, because some people probably have no idea and don't understand that. This basically works off of moisture in the ground. So in the summertime, your electric fence is not that great because the ground is so dry. But like this time of year and in the spring, it'll work really good because, yeah, look at that. It's popping over here now. We disturbed it. There we go. But yeah, we're gonna call this a win. Freddie's even happy. He's gonna keep an eye on it for us. So we will see what the future holds with this. Hopefully they stay in. If they do, we know we did our job, and that's all we can do. So we're gonna call this one here. Do you suffer from low intelligence and are easily entertained? Well, then hit that thumbs up button and leave a comment. And that way we can keep making entertainment that your feeble minds can understand. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.